Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme et tech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme et tech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme et tech. Sommet mondial du voyage est massif. Tourisme et tech.
Big rips, big cuff, 420 for 20% off. Bonfathers got the stash, 420 for 20% off, make it last. Hand blown glass, hits so clean. SpecialKglass.net, live the dream.
Change doesn't wait. Why should you? Welcome to the Gaia Guild, Global Action Impact Awareness. At GaiaGuild.com, thousands are coming together. Creators, innovators, change makers, building a future that matters. Your membership unlocks events, classes, and connections to spark action. And explore the G3 collection and exclusive guild merch at GaiaGuild.shop. This isn't just talk, it's movement in action. Gaia Guild. Join today. Become a guilder. Visit GaiaGuild.shop.
My granddaddy worked this soil with pride, but now they're telling me what I can't grow inside. Inside these fields have fed our family for years. Now paper pushers got me fighting back tears. I'm standing here on my own front land with generations of work in these calloused hands. They say it ain't right, they say it ain't clean, but nature gave us everything we need. Let it grow wild and free like the good Lord meant it to be. Called up my neighbors on the South County line, said meet me at the church, it's about time. Every farmer with a story to tell came together like the ringing of a bell. We all got roots in the sacred ground. Won't let them suits push us around. Ain't asking much, just let us be, to work this land like our families. Let it grow wild and free like the good Lord meant it to be. They can right their lawns, they can make their rules.
Time for harvesting our shrub. We got 3 wires out on my bitch fiber fence.
This is our right, this is our land. Now we're marching down to the county hall. United voices rising tall. Got petitions signed by every farm, showing them we mean no harm. This ain't about just you and me. It's about every farmer trying to be free. When we stand together, ain't no doubt. That's what freedom's all about. Let it grow wild and free like the good Lord meant it to be.
time for Sweet Home CannaBama, a show that'll answer all your questions, provide accurate information, and dispel the myths of cannabis. And have your specific questions answered by emailing Jennifer@CannaBama.com or text or call 343-0106. And now, for all things cannabis in Alabama, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jennifer Boozer Stewart, and we are broadcasting live right now on FM Talk 106.5 across the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi, in case y'all didn't know we had such a reach. And we are live on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and X. So if you are watching online, hit that share button and let your family and friends know. We are talking about a lot of important things, federal legislation being one of them. You can find us at CannaBama.com, and on social media, just look up Jennifer Boozer Stewart and Sweet Home CannaBama, and you can find us, follow us, and stay up to date with all of the latest information. You can also follow the Alabama Cannabis Coalition, the Mullins, Levins, and Stewart lobby firm. There's lots of sites, the Alabama Hemp Growers Facebook page, the Alabama Hemp and Vape Association page. Lots of ways you can stay up to date with these organizations who are all out here fighting for your rights here in Alabama as well as nationwide. And I want to start by making an announcement that Rand Paul is going to be speaking at a telehall, basically an online town hall meeting event tomorrow. The hemp industry is under attack, and we need to fight back. Join Senator Rand Paul and the Hemp Industry Farmers of America this Tuesday, October 28th at 4:30 Eastern. So that would be 3:30 for us, for a critical national call to action. Senator Rand Paul is among the congressional leaders defending America's farmers and protecting pro-hemp laws. This is our chance to rally together and protect American farmers, small businesses, and consumers. If you go to the Facebook page for the Hemp Industry Farmers of America, you can go and register. You can find this Rand Paul post. You can register for this telehall and participate. It doesn't matter who you are. We need everybody, especially if you're in the industry in any way, but certainly consumers and people who are trying to help us win this battle. So that is the Hemp Industry Farmers of America, and that would be with Senator Rand Paul. He has definitely been a champion for the hemp industry in Kentucky as well as nationwide. Couple of announcements. I know a lot of you have heard me talk about my history of addiction to prescription pain pills. And I am happy to report that as of Friday, which is October 31st, I am 11 years clean. And nobody could take that from me. I'm very proud, whether or not anybody listening cares. I am very proud. I know my son sitting next to me is very proud and thankful. And so I have now been clean longer than I used the pills. It was a decade of absolute darkness, and the worst, darkest days of my life after the death of my son. And back then I couldn't imagine having a future because I didn't want one. And I certainly could not have imagined all the places I've been and things I've seen and done in the last 11 years. And God is good. To him goes all the glory. He delivered me from that dark, dark place and has propped me up ever since and blessed me to be able to go out and tell my testimony. And that testimony is the foundation of CannaBama and what we did and what we want to be able to do again for 7 years. And I wanted to do that until the day I take my last breath. And here we are, and I can't do that like I was, but that's the reason we are here to fight. And I'm more determined than ever to make sure that Alabama and the United States do not lose the opportunity to help so many other people that were like me break the bonds and the chains of that addiction and be set free from that. So if you are a recovering addict, I feel you. You're great. I'm so proud of you, and I hope you're proud of me. So let's celebrate together. I don't celebrate Halloween. I celebrate my clean anniversary. And speaking of Halloween, I would like to say Hempy Halloween. and remind you that no one is giving weed gummies to your kids when they trick or treat. So stop it. And the law enforcement included. Come on now. Gummies are far too expensive to be giving them out to anybody, much less somebody's kids. There's posts about it every year. We joke about it every year. It's really not a thing. And also, I want to announce that due to the circumstances of HB 445 and everything that we have been through with CannaBama, I have been holding on to all of the contents of my store, my custom cabinets and my shelving, displays, all of my decor, that iconic blue velvet couch that so many people have sat at with me and talked about their problems. And gotten their solutions. We've taken naps on that sucker, especially during Mardi Gras. and I have to sell it. I was holding on to it because I was hoping that this nightmare would end sooner than later and we could go back to what we do. But that's just not the reality right now. And I cannot afford to store it anymore. I can't afford to hang on to it, and I've got to do something with it. So I will be posting photos of all the big items that we will have for sale. And then also on November 7th and 8th, we're going to have basically like a yard sale on the smaller items and the contents of my home. Everybody knows I just got married in June and moved in with my husband. And so we can't keep two households full of things. And so again, all of my things, my personal things, couches, beds, you name it, kitchen stuff. I mean, it's all stuff that was accumulated just in the last couple of years when I became single. So I am going to be selling all of my contents of my home and the contents of more than one store, because some of you may recall I had 4 stores at one point. So be looking for that. Obviously, it's going to be greatly discounted. I've got some great stuff. I've got stuff that's hardly ever been even used. So be looking for that on my personal Facebook page. You'll be able to pick up some of the bigger items earlier than the yard sale is scheduled. But we're going to have that on November 7th and 8th. So be looking for that. I also just want to say that it's been really quiet lately in Alabama, except for those new ABC rules. But there are things going on in the background all the time. Please follow the Alabama Cannabis Coalition. We are putting out calls to action all the time. One thing I did want to comment on, I posted with a very heavy heart all the information about selling my belongings in order to survive. And then I got a notification from Instagram that Representative Witt had posted a photo. So I clicked on it, and it's a photo of him in Japan, thumbs up in downtown Japan, having a great time, saying that even the Japanese are big Trump fans, and he looks like he's having a great time overseas. And it just, I don't know, it did something to me. I'm like, great. Look, he can go to Japan. He can afford to go to Japan. I'm sure he can afford to do lots of things. I don't have the stomach to go through the rest of his Instagram profile, but I just kept thinking, this man can afford to go to Japan and post silly pictures with foreigners. And I'm selling my couch to feed my family, and that's not okay. So we need the people of Alabama to get up, get off your behind, stop typing angry comments on Facebook. Nobody's paying attention there. But when we have these calls to action, we need you to actually, we spend a lot of time curating these posts. We spend a lot of time vetting these people and this information. Marty works 10, 12 hours a day, most days, probably she would say even more some days, to get this information compiled. We have an entire team of people that are constantly trying to get this information out to the people of Alabama. And when we do, and nobody takes these calls to action seriously, it's incredibly demoralizing, because we are out here fighting for all 700 complaints on one post, because the legislators aren't reading that. We are out here fighting for all of the people all over Alabama, and we cannot do it by ourselves. The people of Alabama are complacent. I get it. You feel overwhelmed. We never get to vote on issues. We only get to vote for people. But guess what? It's an election year coming up. And we have the right to go to those polls and take those people's jobs and put in people who are pro-hemp and cannabis, who will actually listen to their constituents and do something about this. So we need you to now get off your duff and do something. And when we start this legislative session, we're going to need you a lot. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about federal legislation with U.S. Hemp Roundtable board member Ken Meyer. Stay with us.
The Humble Hemp Shack has been your home for safely sourced hemp products since 2019. Now we are asking for your help. Alabama House Bill 445 was recently signed into law and will significantly impact Alabamians' right to safe, quality hemp products. This bill takes money from the hands of farmers and small business owners and puts it right back into the hands of dealers. You can help by supporting local hemp businesses and by donating to the legal fund found on thehumblehempshack.com, paid for by the Humble Hemp Shack, LLC.
Every moment counts if you're at risk or living with lung cancer. And anyone with lungs can get lung cancer. It causes more cancer deaths than breast, colon, and prostate combined. It can feel like a race against time. And while there may be moments where you question your next step, it's essential to know that you don't have to confront lung cancer alone. Through it all, Go-To for Lung Cancer is here for you. From screening, treatment, and survivorship support to finding the right care close to home, we are your community. As your friends, your guides, your teachers, your advocates, and your support system, Go-To is your go-to. Confronting lung cancer starts here. Visit goto.org today.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. Tonight, we're going to meet someone that we have met before, and one of my favorite guests. He's such a positive person. I watch his posts and see the amazing things he's doing in South Dakota in industrial hemp, and it really gives me hope that we can still turn this around. Ken Meyer is a co-founder of Complete Hemp Processing LLC, a hemp stalk processing facility in South Dakota. He serves on the board of the South Dakota Industrial Hemp Association. He is a co-chair for the U.S. Hemp Roundtable Farmer Advisory Council. Welcome back to the show, Ken.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. You know, I thought we need to know what is going on federally, and I keep seeing these calls to action from the Hemp Roundtable, and I thought, who do I need to call? And your name was the first one that popped into my mind. I'm so glad to see that you're doing more advocacy on the federal level, because I know who you are, and I know your heart, and I know your work, and you are one of the most perfect people I can think of to represent the interests of us as a whole across the country. So thank you so much for the service that you provide outside of what you do to make a living.
Well, it's really exciting what's happening in hemp, as you mentioned, in South Dakota and across the country. Farmers are really looking to have another row crop along with corn and soybeans,
right,
that they can put in the rotation, especially with the situation with soybeans right now. We need that other row crop, and we also need it for healthier soil. And there are lots of people growing hemp for cannabinoids. There are still more hemp cannabinoid farmers than there are hemp farmers for grain and fiber.
Right.
Also a very important sector, as we know. And a lot of that interest is represented really well by Brian Furnish, who is the co-chair on the U.S. Hemp Roundtable Farmer Advisory Council from Kentucky.
Yes, Kentucky's got some serious hitters. for the hemp industry. I mean, there's some people coming out of that are in Kentucky that are doing this work. I know Martin Smith. I know Michael Adair. I know lots of people that we've had on the show that are out of Kentucky. And like I was just talking about before, Senator Rand Paul, a lot of people in Kentucky that are fighting on a national level for the hemp industry. And so that is really great that they are represented well on that council. Tell us, let's get into this. What is going on right now in Washington, D.C. with hemp? Because it seems like something different comes out every other day, at least once a week, a new piece of legislation. Some want to ban THC content at all. Some people like Rand Paul want to raise the THC to 1%. So what is happening right now in Washington, D.C.?
Well, to start out with, we wish that all of these policy discussions around hemp were really part of the Farm Bill legislation and not coming up in other bills.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened on the House side is it came up in appropriations and language got put in that on the House version, we would be faced with no quantifiable amount of THC in a hemp product, which we know can't happen. And it's also, that language is a threat to hemp farmers because the hemp plant has THC.
Right.
And we can't get away from it.
Right.
It was recognized in the first Farm Bill with the 0.3%. We would like the 1%, like Senator Rand Paul is pushing, but we know it's quantifiable.
Right.
On the Senate side, thanks to Senator Rand Paul, that type of language did not make the appropriations bill on the Senate side. But why are we talking in appropriation bills about farm policy?
Right.
And why are we not just letting the farmers farm and having other legislative vehicles for determining what the regulation should be on the final form product? That's what we need to get to.
Right, because it's not definitely not an appropriations issue. You know, you're right. It needs to be included in the Farm Bill, not a spending bill. I've seen them try to shove language into all sorts of vehicles as far as legislation goes, and none of them are the Farm Bill. I didn't even plan on asking you this, but why haven't we passed a farm bill since 2018? You know, it expired a long time ago. And they haven't been able to pass a new farm bill. So we just stick with the 18 farm bill rules. But what is the issue? Do you know?
The main issue is just the dysfunction in Washington to be able to compromise and to pass policy. You have basically a pretty even split. And so they're not able to move policy. This is particularly the case because of the Senate rules, which you need 60 votes to pass most things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of why we don't have a farm bill.
Okay. Well, I know that a lot of people like to focus on the fact that the SNAP benefits, which it's a terrible time to even have to mention the SNAP benefits because so many people just got letters saying that they will not be receiving those. And that is a huge topic of conversation right now. But a lot of the farm bill includes those benefits, and a lot of the money that is allocated in that farm bill is about food insecurity. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, this is with the government shut down. What does that mean also? I mean, can anything even happen while the government is shut down? I'm assuming no.
Well, the policy discussions keep going.
Right.
As far as that goes, and the work to be ready to move forward with whatever language the particular side wants once they're up and going.
Right.
Particularly on the House side, right?
Right.
The House is not in session, but the Senate is.
Okay. So basically, we just keep going and hacking away at it so that when the government shutdown finally is over and they go back to the chambers to debate and vote, we're ready. And we have already tackled these issues and hopefully gotten the support we need. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. It's really important to work during this time to actually take advantage of the slowdown in what looked like a train wreck for us on hemp language that was at first
Right.
what we all need.
Right. Okay. Well, and I'm so grateful again for you to help me kind of break this down. If I sound like a 5-year-old trying to ask dumb questions, it's because they don't help you understand this stuff. And, like I've said many times, I was a shop owner. I am not a farmer. I am definitely not a politician or a lobbyist. And so having to learn these things as a means of survival is hard. It's hard for the average person. So I appreciate your input on this. Let's talk a little bit about grain and fiber and CBD versus intoxicating cannabinoids for a minute. Like you said before, the majority of the hemp still, or a larger percentage of the hemp farms in the United States are farming for consumable products. And you see states like Alabama and Kentucky and Texas and all these southeastern states for sure that are banning the intoxicating hemp products and basically making it nearly impossible to even sell CBD. But there's also the grain and the fiber and the herd and the fines and all those other things, the industrial applications. What do you see? I mean, is there any way we can kind of see what's coming down the pike on that? Like you said, all hemp has some THC in it, and having no quantifiable THC being the law would mean you can't even grow this for hempcrete and making blue jeans, right?
It's definitely going to have a big chilling effect the way the language is. What I think it does is a disservice to educating policymakers, the public, about THC, and that THC is not a dirty word.
Right.
THC happens to be a healthy part of the hemp plant, and it's about limits, not about pushing it out.
Right. Limits instead of elimination.
That's right.
Right. Because if you eliminate the THC, even growing it, like I said, for grain, they just got it approved for like chicken feed, animal feed. That wouldn't be allowed because you can't grow the plant long enough to get the product you're trying to make if the plant matures to the point where THC starts to become available. So there would be no point in growing it at all, right?
It would be challenging. So there's language that says no quantifiable amount of THC, and it also removes kind of responsibility, accountability of the people we vote for, because it would push off to an administrative body to figure out what does quantifiable mean.
Right.
And
of course,
I want them to vote on and establish that basic rule, the percentage of THC, and then we can deal with the agencies and the rulemaking on other issues.
Right. I think one of the ways that I have seen, especially in Alabama, but in other states as well, the way they kind of get away with this is they make a super vague law, and they don't define terms. Probably, I mean, it seems to me most of the time they can't define them. It's a term. Sometimes it's a term that's just made up. And they create these incredibly vague bills that don't leave any certainty for the people on the ground who are already invested in this, already doing this. How do we pivot if we don't even understand what the law says? And you're right. They leave it to some organization or agency. In Alabama, it's the ABC board currently. And then they come out with rules about how you can't have a package of gummies with an ink pen on the cover. Like, why did we spend 5 months coming up with rules like that? I've never even seen that before. Weird, silly rules, very limiting things because the bills themselves are so vague. That sounds like what's happening with that. Quantifiable, you're right. What does quantifiable even mean? When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more with Ken Meyer. Stay with us.
FM FM Talk 1065, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority, and Dr. Bill Williams.
The Gulf Coast can expect mostly cloudy skies tonight. Low temperatures will be in the upper 50s at daybreak. For Tuesday, becoming sunny with the highs in the mid-70s. And the outlook for Wednesday, morning showers, then sunny and cooler with afternoon temperatures in the upper 60s. This is meteorologist Dr. Bill Williams for FM Talk 1065.
With local coverage you can count on, I'm Peter Albrecht, WKRG News 5. 15% of people in Alabama get SNAP benefits, sometimes referred to as food stamps. It's a program that's 100% federally funded, and now those benefits are being suspended as of Saturday, November 1st, due to the federal government shutdown. The SNAP program is under the Department of Agriculture, which has enough money on reserve to fund the program nationwide through about Thanksgiving, but the agency says it won't do that. 750,000 Alabamians depend on more than $140 million in SNAP support every month. Mobile police have arrested a woman for a road rage shooting. Investigators say two women had been arguing at the Zippy Mart on Three Notch Road. A few blocks later, 21-year-old Sydney Pinkert allegedly shot from her car into the other vehicle. No one was hurt. In sports, Mobile's Roger McCreary traded today from Tennessee to the Los Angeles Rams. Former Bay Bear Max Scherzer starts on the mound tonight in the World Series for Toronto. I'm Peter Albrecht, WKRG News 5.
The Humble Hemp Shack has been your home for safely sourced hemp products since 2019. Now we are asking for your help. Alabama House Bill 445 was recently signed into law and will significantly impact Alabamians' right to safe, quality hemp products. This bill takes money from the hands of farmers and small business owners and puts it right back into the hands of dealers. You can help by supporting local hemp businesses and by donating to the legal fund found on thehumblehempshack.com, paid for by the Humble Hemp Shack, LLC.
To be ready for the annual enrollment period, Simple Healthcare Solutions will help you in choosing the best health options in 2026. Meet their featured artist, Danielle Jones, to assist you with canvas and colors. Limited seating and materials prep require an RSVP, and you must be Medicare eligible or soon to be to attend in the C&I building, 3280 Dolphin Street. To register, call 251-644-7627.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back. You're listening to Sweet Home CannaBama right here on FM Talk 1065 and live streamed across social media every Monday night at 7 o'clock for over 6 years. Tonight we're talking with Ken Meyer, and he is on the Farmer Advisory Council for the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. Ken, before the break, you said something about teaching the public and policymakers that THC is not a dirty word, and it's all about levels. I want to talk a little bit about the difference it would make for farmers to change the allowable 0.3% by dry weight to 1%. Why do you think that that's so important? I know why I think it's important, but tell us why raising it to just 1%, again, a negligible amount as far as intoxication or anything like that, not going to happen. But why that distinction? Because I imagine there's some crop burning been happening. I know some people that it's happened to. But let's talk about why that's important, even when you're growing hemp that is not consumable.
Yeah, well, first of all, let's recognize that the USDA rule as far as negligence is already 1%.
Okay.
So farmers can already have crops that go up to 1% in states that have adopted that USDA final rule.
Really?
But what it means is they have to do a lot of paperwork, remediation, second test, a lot of jumping hoops.
Right.
In that area between 0.3 and 1%.
Okay.
And so why are we putting farmers through all of that?
Right.
1% would just be nice and clean. And the reason 1% helps grain, fiber farmers, CBD farmers, is because that THC does tend to spike in a plant as it matures at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, while most of it is controlled by genetics, some is also a factor of how much the plant's stressed and things that the farmer can't control.
Right. Sun, rain,
but
all that stuff, especially if it's outdoor grows.
And then farmers need to be able to choose from as many genetics as possible to get the best yields for their crops.
Right.
So there are varieties occasionally that push hard on that 0.3 THC, but stay well below the 1%.
Mm-hmm.
That, for example, may mean you get double the crop. Well, if you're the farmer and you can get double the crop,
right,
with just a little bit more tolerance for THC, that is important to make it financially work for everybody in the supply chain from seed to shelf with your hempcrete house.
Right, exactly. Because a lot of these operations aren't all in-house from seed to sale. A lot of this happens, one farm sends it to a processor, whether that be into consumables or into something like hempcrete. And so being able to get a bigger yield has to be a phenomenal benefit to the 1%. And like you said, less paperwork, less fines, less hoops to jump through, less money to spend. And then there are people like in Alabama, I don't know if I doubt that they have, because I know people here who have had their crops burned because it was above the 0.3%. That's a complete and total waste. And for what? A tenth of a percent, too much THC. And still, like I said, it's a negligible amount when you're talking about, whether or not it can make you high. 1% is not going to get anybody tooted, if you know what I mean. And so why is this arbitrary number? I mean, where did the number even come from? Do you know?
I understand that somebody was doing some research and talked about it for a research paper, and unbeknownst to him and not encouraged by him, it ended up being this number. But it is very arbitrary. It's very low. It would be better to be changed. Together with that, another policy that would help, especially together with going from 0.3 to 1%, would be post-harvest sampling or testing for THC instead of testing a green plant.
Yeah,
that would really give us accuracy on what is the THC in the material,
right,
for compliance purposes,
right.
And for the grain and fiber people, it would mean that we would be taking a sample where the THC is basically completely gone.
Right. Well, you're right, because when you first harvest the plant and it's green and it's raw, you have to think about it like any other plant. Like, think about a banana. When they pick it, it's green and it's hard and it tastes terrible, and it's one way. And by the time it gets to your table and your kids are about to peel it open, it's yellow, it's sweeter, and if you leave it there too long, it's going to turn brown. It's a living thing that's constantly evolving and ripening, if you will, and changing until it's in its final state. And even then, the cured flour and things like that, if you put it in a little bit in the hot trunk of your car, it's going to change. So there's a lot of variables there that we can get mired in the mud and ruin a lot of livelihoods and throw away a lot of really good, sustainable, green energy type construction materials and even clean consumable products because of this weird, arbitrary low number on something that's natural. It's almost like they keep comparing it to things like alcohol or pharmaceuticals or whatever. Those things don't really change. But this is a living biological plant, and it's going to continue to change. And it is very tricky to say, okay, here's where it is, and that's where it's going to stay, because that's not always true.
Another principle that's really helping policymakers is looking at what is the purpose for the hemp is being grown.
Right.
It can really help with policy as well. So with a grain crop, the grain has zero THC.
Yeah.
There's zero THC there. With the stalk, once it's been cut down and by the time it's baled, the low to almost no THC completely gone. So since we know that that's going to go into a building material, into clothes, into plastics, and it's not going to leave the field in a green form,
right?
Why are we testing for THC at the time when
at
it's
all
the highest potential for THC?
Well, or at all. If you know that a reputable licensed company is growing it for building materials and no one is ingesting this stuff, then what does it matter how much THC is in it? You know, I mean, I guess there has to be a limit to prevent people from taking advantage of things, because God knows we're all in this boat because of that. But still, I mean, if you're growing it for animal bedding or for hempcrete or for fiber to make Levi's, what does it matter how much THC was in the plant when you harvested it? If it got cut down and chewed up and spit out into something that you're going to build a wall with or insulate the wall with or make a throw pillow or some carpet fibers or hemp wood flooring with, you know, what does the THC content even matter?
Right. Just only from a standpoint of defining whether it's hemp
right.
or marijuana for purposes of the law. That's the only reason.
Right. It's certainly not about public safety or anything else like that, because again, these products are not consumable by human beings, and nor are they ever, you know, nobody's going to take a block of hempcrete and grind it up and smoke that, you know? I mean, come on. There has to be some sort of distinction. I know there are some people I've read that would like to sort of split this distinction and have certain rules of testing for consumables, which makes total sense because that is where public safety lies, and absolutely should be regulated and tested and make sure that it's clean and it's safe and it's quality, but then have separate rules for people who are using it for industrial applications, as far as like the rate of testing, the amount that's tested, how it's tested when it's used for industrial applications, and is never going to be in a consumable product made for humans or animals.
That's right. The whole hemp consumables industry has been asking for regulation for years.
Yes, we have.
And it's that lack of regulation that's causing the problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating that there's this rewriting of history to say that now we're talking about loopholes. Well, when the Farm Bill was passed, almost everything was about the cannabinoids. We didn't see quite all where it was going to go.
Right.
But there was very little about grain and fiber at the time.
Right.
And so what has happened? Now we have people saying that people are making these unregulated products. Well, regulate them.
Right.
That's the answer.
Well, and where were they worried about the public in the last 7 years? 7 years is a long time. This didn't just happen last year. You know, all of these things needed regulation. And you're right. I begged the state of Alabama to have a retailer's license added to the hemp program, because I knew there would always be people who take advantage. You know, there will always be people who take advantage. And you've got in some ways, the federal regulation is specific, but then there are gaping holes of information that just aren't there. They aren't addressed. They didn't know about them, but it's been 7 years now. And by and large, there is a legitimate consumable hemp industry. People like me who are educational, who are out here using it as medicine and teaching it as medicine. And then there's people selling brown lawn clippings from God knows where in a gas station, selling to children. And without the license for retailers, and specifically here in Alabama, we don't know who's selling it. They don't know who to go after. But nobody would listen to that 5, 6, 7 years ago when all this began. And there was a handful of us, and we were saying, hey, wait a minute, how do we know who is selling it and who is not? And they chose, all these years, they chose to ignore it. And now they've destroyed our livelihoods for a couple of bad guys. And those bad guys are all still in business. The ones of us who were, you know, trying to do this the right way are not. And so you're right. Where were all of these regulations we have been begging for years? And you don't even have to listen to me. I mean, I got 6 years worth of radio shows you can go back and check, but you don't even have to listen to me. Listen to everybody else around me, everybody around this country. we have been begging because we saw this coming. The people in the industry that took advantage aren't the only ones taking advantage. The government agencies and people are using this to take advantage now on the government side of it. And it's ridiculous because I would say to them, why now? Why are you so concerned now? Where were you 5, 6, 7 years ago? To say, hey, maybe we should look into this, take it seriously. Because we've been doing gangbusters since 2018 around here. Tell us real quick before we move on to another topic, where can people go to get involved and to help support this effort in Washington, D.C.? Real quick before the break.
Yeah, go to hempsupporter.com and click on the Get Involved button at the top.
All right, hempsupporter.com. We'll be right back in just a minute with Ken Meyer. Stay with us.
The Humble Hemp Shack has been your home for safely sourced hemp products since 2019. Now we are asking for your help. Alabama House Bill 445 was recently signed into law and will significantly impact Alabamians' right to safe, quality hemp products. This bill takes money from the hands of farmers and small business owners and puts it right back into the hands of dealers. You can help by supporting local hemp businesses and by donating to the legal fund found on thehumblehempshack.com, paid for by the Humble Hemp Shack, LLC.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. How to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Welcome back to Sweet Home CannaBama. Now with all the information you want about cannabis, here's your host, Jennifer Boozer.
Welcome back, everybody. We're talking tonight with Ken Meyer from the U.S. Hemp Roundtable. Ken, we've been talking a lot about the legislation that is coming up in the federal government. But I didn't want to leave the show tonight, and it's our last segment, without talking about some really positive things that are happening within the hemp industry. You sent me one, the Renewabuild hemp block factory that licenses the structural hemp blocks that look like Legos is operational in Canada and taking orders. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's been about 3-4 years ago, I think we all looked at these videos online of this Lego block made out of hempcrete with a form inside of it. And it was really exciting. I think it got something like 3.5 million YouTube hits.
Wow.
And then we didn't hear anything about it.
Wow.
And what happened was it just hadn't been commercialized. So a really good idea, but it takes time for things to get commercialized.
Of course.
And here just in the past few weeks, Renewabuild was able to license the technology of Just Biofiber to build these blocks. And they now have a line where they can do 2 blocks a minute.
Wow.
And they're structural blocks with the frame in it. So now this hemp block wall system allows you to replace what would normally be in your house, the sheetrock, the insulation, and the wood framing.
Nice.
It's just amazing. And now we can scale hempcrete building.
Yes, and you said that each line will support construction of 500 hempcrete homes a year.
That's correct. Obviously, we had to pick a number that would be like 502,000 square feet houses. The
kind of average it out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I would love to have one here in Alabama. Let's see. Let's talk about the Hemp Feed Coalition. They got approval of hemp as an animal feed for laying hens.
Yeah, that has been so important. The Hemp Feed Coalition does great work, led by a great team of people. They had to work a long time to get that approval for laying hens.
Yes.
And that immediately gave a better price support for farmers, that when they sell their grain, now not just the hemp seed oil can sell, but there's a place for that hemp protein to go to.
That's nice. Yeah, we talk about hemp protein and hemp hearts as food on the show a lot. I think it's a great thing, and a lot of people don't know about it. And I'm excited. I understand why it's such a great win to be able to feed it to chickens. You know, the omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids, and all of the things that you get out of the plant, because we focus so much on CBD and THC, and we forget that there's well over 400 chemicals in this plant, and the seeds are incredibly nutritious and good for you, not only for food, but things like skincare and animal bedding and all of those things. So it is exciting to be able to see it get approval to start putting it into the food systems here. I would love to see it approved for other animals as well, because, you know, it's such a nutritious product. Can't get you high, guys. No cannabinoid content in the seeds, but it's an incredibly potent nutritional supplement and a source of protein. So that's really exciting. Let's see. You talked earlier about the need for another row crop to put in rotation, and that hemp is such a great one for that. I know we've talked on the show before about the soil remediation and things, how when you grow hemp in the soil, it actually cleans it, makes it better than it was before. So, and you mentioned something about soybeans earlier. I don't know anything about farming, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's been in the news lately. It's a big deal in all of corn and soybean country that China's not buying soybeans right now. And Argentina is providing China with soybeans, and this is part of the political back and forth that's going on, and farmers are caught in the crosshairs. And so what that means for South Dakota is that right now there's no home for 30% of the soybeans that are being harvested right now.
Yeah.
And of course, so they'll just be stored with the hope of having a market at some point.
Yeah. Well, and do you agree that hemp as a crop rotation is healthy for these farmers, because it can help clean the soil? You know, a lot of times when you're constantly farming the soil, it kind of depletes the soil, and it's harder to grow crops or get as much nutrition out of the crops. So having something like hemp that cleans the soil but doesn't overtax it and helps make the soil better, I think that is a huge plus. And like you said, if there wasn't such a massive limitation or even elimination of the amount of THC involved, that this would be more attractive to everyday farmers to put into their rotation, don't you think?
Yes, that's right. And also what it means is if the language is right and we're doing the education that we should around THC, the policy doesn't reflect then that we're scared of it, then bankers won't be afraid of it, and insurance people won't be afraid of it. And we need both of those to make a successful industry.
We need banking, we need insurance coverage, we need to be able to advertise our businesses, whether we're selling consumable products or making hempcrete in some way. You know, you say the word hemp and everybody just shuts down and acts like, you know, all of a sudden you're on fire. And it really is, it got old a long time ago, but it's exhausting now. But yes, a lot of people, you say the word hemp and they think weed, marijuana, all the scary words, and the reefer madness within us all just kind of kicks up, and people start to go, oh no, I could never, and they don't understand it. I do believe that things like what the U.S. Hemp Roundtable does to keep the public informed and educated, and groups like the one that Rand Paul is working with, shows like this, other podcasts, and other people that are out there educating on the whole plant, not just THC, on all of its possibilities, all of its applications. If you understood what it is and what it isn't, it suddenly isn't scary anymore. And that fear, I believe, it's high time, pardon the pun, it's high time that people stop being afraid to talk about the cannabis sativa L plant, whether you call it hemp or cannabis or whatever the slang you use, it's still just a plant and it's harmless. But as far as what we're talking about tonight, the use of hemp products as consumables, as well as for food, animal bedding, fiber, crete, even biodiesel, plastics, anything made from cotton, wood, or petroleum can be made from hemp. It's fully sustainable, and you can get a couple of crops a year, depending on where you're at. And if you're indoors, several, as opposed to things like trees and fossil fuels and all the other things that we currently rely on.
Yeah, that's right. It's an amazing plant, and with everything going on, we can't lose sight of how positive it is and how the industry is progressing with some great products to come out.
Right.
I think it will be game changing to have 500 hempcrete houses up for people to see.
I think so too. Every time I have a chance to share something like that going on around the world, it's purely for the fact that I think it is so cool, and for the fact that people need to understand whatever it is you think, it's not that. Ken, tell us again where we can find more information from the U.S. Hemp Roundtable and to follow you.
Yes, go to hempsupporter.com and click on Get Involved.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. I have a little bit of breaking news here. We have congressional candidate Joshua McKee, who was just on the show a couple of weeks ago. He is endorsed by the Alabama Cannabis Coalition and the Alabama Republicans Against Marijuana Prohibition with Project Dynamo to deliver humanitarian aid to Jamaica following Hurricane Melissa. You guys, if you've seen the pictures and the numbers on this massive hurricane on this tiny island, these people are in severe danger. Everything that they have is about to get wiped out. We just got a press release. They're accepting donations at OSO Bear Point Harbor on October the 28th. That is 5749 Bay LA Launch Avenue, Orange Beach, Alabama 36561. He will be traveling there personally to deliver aid and help out. That is Joshua McKee for U.S. Congress out of Alabama. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you, Ken, for being with us. God bless you, and God bless Alabama Hemp.
Big rips, big cuff, 420 for 20% off. The Bong Brothers got the stash, 420 for 20% off. Make it last. Hand blown glass, hits so clean. SpecialKGlass.net, live the dream.
Global action, voicing strong, impact building all day long. Awareness shining, truth revealed. Step inside the Gaia Guild. Membership, products, services merge. Join the movement, feel the surge. Together we rise, together we build. Become a guild, enter at GaiaGuild.com.
Change doesn't wait. Why should you? Welcome to the Gaia Guild. Global Action Impact Awareness. At GaiaGuild.com, thousands are coming together. Creators, innovators, changemakers, building a future that matters. Your membership unlocks events, classes, and connections that spark action. And explore the G3 collection and exclusive guild merch at GaiaGuild.shop. This isn't just talk, it's movement in action. Gaia Guild. Join today. Become a guilder. Visit GaiaGuild.shop.